Okay, so I'm currently recording this with my youngest co-host in hand because it is a delightful 6 degrees right now here in Bendigo, and even with the heaters on, he wants to be snuggled. So if you hear those telltale snuffling noises in the microphone, it's not me. For those of you who are not familiar with my channel and are wondering what the heck I'm talking about, I'm talking about a 6-month-old chihuahua called Mouse. So like most people who've been following this case, I've been keeping a close eye on the case documents for both Stearns' trials. Now, the judge didn't give a specific deadline as to when he would make his ruling on the motions to suppress. So, been waiting for that. And we're now less than a month away from the beginning of the first trial. So, hopefully that won't take too much longer. Now, talking about that first trial, there was a line that popped up in the case documents almost 2 weeks ago now. And as you can see on the bottom of the screen, this was on the 2nd of June, and it has notice of appearance requested. And I was curious. I thought, well, what's this all about? And I thought, well, that's okay. Generally, when I see something like this that hasn't got an actual link to a document and it has requested or something like that, it takes less than 24 hours before the document pops up and then I can click on it and see what's going on. So I checked later that day and it still was requested. And because I have ADHD and these things really bug me, my curiosity has just been piqued to the max. I've been checking on it every day since then, and it still comes up as requested. Now, I was hoping that perhaps Gavin Fish, who has extensive experience in courtrooms, might have done a video just explaining it. Although for him, he probably just looked at it and went, yeah, okay, whatevs. He's probably so familiar with these things that he didn't blink an eyelid, didn't even think about it. Maybe he's just been so busy he hasn't seen it. I am hoping that maybe he will see this video and respond and do a quick explanation of his own, just to clarify any misinformation that I may put out, because I've been researching to find out what the heck this is, because it's just really bugging me that it's been just sitting there as a request for 10 days now and nothing's been happening. So I was thinking, notice of appearance. Who has to give a notice of appearance? And I must admit, I wasn't even sure what a notice of appearance was. So I did a bit of digging. Of course, I went for Florida sites because I wanted to make sure that I was being accurate with the information that I was putting out. So this is an excerpt from Florida Statute 27, and it says, after court appointment, the attorney must immediately file a notice of appearance with the court indicating acceptance of the appointment to represent the defendant and of the terms of the uniform contract as specified by subsection 5. We won't worry about that part of it. Now, I will admit the confusing thing with this particular statute is that it is not super clear that it is specifically referring to a public defender, because it also talks about requirements should a public defender be unable to represent an individual due to some sort of conflict of interests, and talks about the appointment of a private lawyer. However, from all the bits of digging I've done, it does appear that all attorneys representing clients in Florida do have to file a notice of appearance. So, in absence of one in Stefan's court file, I went and had a look for one that's an example of one. So the reason I wanted to share this is because in the second paragraph it says, pursuant to Rule 3.160A, Florida Rules of Criminal Procedure, the undersigned enters on defendant's behalf a written plea of not guilty to the offences charged in this case. The undersigned respectfully requests that this court, in its discretion and under the provisions of Rule 3.190C, permit the undersigned to enter this written plea of not guilty and hereafter file motions to dismiss the information filed in this case at a later time allowed by the court. So, are we discovering here that Stearns' lawyers haven't done the very, very basic paperwork for this case? So I went back through the documents for this particular case. So for the trial about his images. And there was actually a filing quite early in March 2024. So on the 8th of March 2024, there was a filing made by Public Defender Stuart Parton, who we haven't heard anything more of from this case, so I'm not sure if he's even now connected with the Public Defender office. He's certainly not been filing anything recently. So he did actually do a written plea of guilty for Stearns. So, comes to now the accused by and through the undersigned attorney pursuant to Florida Rules of Criminal Procedure, and hereby enters a written plea of not guilty and waiver of arraignment to the charges contained in the above styled cause. So we do have a written plea of not guilty entered on behalf of Stefan almost immediately after his arrest. But I've not seen any documents that are a notice of appearance. So is this something that is like essential before this can go to trial? And why is it that 10 days on, after this request has been made, we still don't see any paperwork? I mean, we know from the 70 plus filings of various motions by Stearns' team that they do know how to do a filing. So why is there no notice of appearance? Like I said, the way the statute is written, it could perhaps be interpreted as meaning that it only requires a private attorney to do this filing. Although from everything I've looked at, it does appear that the expectation is for attorneys representing an individual in a criminal trial to file a notice of appearance, meaning that there should be a notice of appearance for each member of Stearns' team. Please let me know if I am incorrect in this, but it does appear from all my research that that is indeed the case. And I'll just jump in ahead of the trolls. How relevant is this? Well, in terms of the actual notice of appearance, It's probably not hugely significant. However, what is significant about this appearing in Stearns' file, this request for a notice of appearance, this tells me that we can rely on Judge Carsten to make sure that he is ruling this case fairly and exactly to the law. He is clearly going to expect a high standard of professionalism from lawyers on both sides, and he clearly expects everything to be done correctly. We've already seen that there was a request for refiling of the motions to suppress, and if you saw the video that I did about those, the request for the refiling of them was because both motions had been filed with pages out of order. So it wasn't a request to change anything in terms of the wording in the actual document. It was a request to refile those documents with the pages and the information in the correct order. So it seems to me that Judge Carsten definitely expects a high level of professionalism from lawyers who are in his court. This to me is extremely reassuring. So on that note, thanks for listening. If you are new to my channel, please do subscribe. Also, please hit that like button and please leave a comment below. Thank you, and I will catch you in the next one.
I've been going to